Hello, everybody. Let's get started. Greetings and welcome, everybody. Do we have any new visitors this evening? Welcome to the folks on Zoom. All right. Jim Neville here tonight.
Yes, I am right here. At the very end.
Slipped in.
So just to let you know, we'll take down pictures on August 31st at 6:30, but I'll remind you of it next month. And okay, but just all the rest to say.
So these stay until August 31st, right?
Yes, please. June, July, and August.
All right. Our White Sands outings, we're all permit approved and ready to go. I just learned we're limited to 18 people total. So we've got room for a few more if someone wants to join last minute. Come see me if you want to join us. It's in New Mexico. It's an 8-hour drive, just so you know. The Nature Lovers Calendar, the calendar contest has been a success so far. We had 152 photos submitted from 34 different photographers, 14 of which were non-photo club members, because it's open to the public. So, and they're impressive from what I've seen. They're impressive. So the judges, our panel of 5 judges is going to choose 25 photos for the calendar. They're going to do that Saturday. So, and we'll let the winners know by email. All right.
Is there a $50 gift card with each picture?
If you win, you win a free copy of the calendar. Just one copy.
Each picture you get in. Okay.
I don't know, if you haven't seen the new Broomfield trail map, I highly recommend you pick it up. I've got 8 copies up here. Come get one if you want. It's on waterproof, tear-proof paper, brand new, updated. And in my previous life, I used to print maps, and I am impressed with this. It's very well done. So get your copy. All the Broomfield open spaces, trails, parks, everything. Very well done. I have a free camera if anyone is interested. It is a Canon film camera and a tripod and a carrying case and a flash. And it's a EOS Rebel G. Don't know if it works. It's a bit dusty. So you'll need to replace batteries, clean it up, see if it works. But if you want it, it's free. No one wants it, I'll try to sell it. So no interested parties? No? All right.
Film.
Film. Let's film. All right. Next. Okay, our next meeting. Oh, I should probably be on camera.
There you go.
Our next meeting is August 25th. Assigned subject is From Above, Photos from High Places. So it can be from a tall building, from the top of a mountain, top of a bridge, or a drone photo even. So from an airplane, out an airplane window, another idea. So photo submissions we do the Monday a week before, no later than August 17th. Member Mark Adler will be presenting on aerial photography with a drone. So, and as always, our schedule is on our website on the events page. You can always look at our assigned subjects right there. Okay, and if you haven't, please take a moment to silence your phones. All right, and today we have a guest presenter, Brandon Hodges. He'll be presenting on Souvenirs of Light. Thanks, Brandon, for being here.
Thank you.
So we'll have Brandon's presentation. We'll take a short break and then come back and do member photos. with that, I'll introduce Brandon.
Well, I am a Broomfield native. I grew up in Westlake. I'm back in the days when it was, multiple counties. Where this used to sit where the old pool was. I took swimming lessons there when I was 4, back in the late 70s. So, I've been into photography since I was 11 years old, when I got my first Pentax screw mount camera back in 1986 on my 11th birthday. And within a couple of weeks, the metering system just made sense to me. I don't know how, it's like riding a bike. It just made sense. And my first degree is in photojournalism, and my second degree is in IT, so I can pay for photography equipment. I call my presentation Souvenirs of Light because I believe that we're out, the light that is there at the moment that you're trying to take a picture, it's a souvenir of that moment in time. And I've always just kind of thought it was just the best way to explain how I feel when I'm out there. Is I'm just lucky to be out there, taking my shots and finding moments, with everything. So let's begin. Oh, lights. You can turn that. I can hand out in the dark. I have many years of darkroom equipment or darkroom experience.
We need it dark.
Not the whole thing. Okay. You're not gonna. Now it's not gonna.
Okay.
Of course.
Easy enough. Let me ask. Does it just take an arrow?
There we go. Okay. My approach to photography has been rooted in the traditions of film, because that's where I started. And when I got my degree in photojournalism, it taught me, patience and discipline, and to try to take the right shot the first time. Back in the film days, we didn't have the idea just to burst and burst and burst, and bracket because film was expensive and I was a poor college student. So, and I do what I do in post, but I try to take the right, the right image perfect in the camera and not do it everything in Photoshop. So, and I believe this mindset keeps me in the essence of photography, slowing down, observing, and creating images that I feel are honest and deliberate rather than manufactured. And every frame is a decision and not, an accident. Yeah, it worked. And then when I received my first camera, I received 3 books. I'm sure some of you might have heard of them, by Ansel Adams, called The Camera, The Negative, and The Print. I read those, and I learned a lot about, especially black and white photography, but I've always loved this quote by him, which was, "Dodging and burning are steps to take care of mistakes God made establishing in tonal relationships." So, and my first section is wildlife. I just got this image this summer of that bighorn peeking out from behind the trees, going Ella Pass. And I just loved how he was looking down at me, but he was, standing on there, and just the framing of it with the tree and his stature, made me really happy. And that was shot with the 500 millimeter Canon, f4 lens with a EOS 1D Mark III. The first shot here is of the Sandhill Crane. I don't know if any of you have been down to the Crane Festival in Monte Vista. It is spectacular. This goes back to panning, just being patient and panning and waiting for them to take off. And then the second shot here is of a juvenile bald eagle at Bar Lake, and I waited an hour and a half for this bird to take off. And if you know anything about shooting, especially the bigger raptors, they like to take off into the wind for lift. So I was, I'm just going to scoot over a little more, just trying to get this. He was coming almost straight at me when he finally took off, and I stood there for all that time just waiting for a bird. So there's a lot of patience involved, but it's been a very popular shot, and I love the fact that he was flying right at me. He literally flew 2 feet above my head and then circled off. So. And if anybody has been to Bar Lake, it's a spectacular place to go out and see lots of other birds, not just the eagles, but as a photographer who sells their work, the eagles are, one of the most popular, to sell. This is probably one of my most popular shots of all. My wife named it Eaglitude because it is the attitude of an eagle. This was shot at St. Vrain State Park. And when I go out, especially for like shooting like birds, and when I knew that I was going to go to St. Vrain, I have my camera in the car. I kind of already looked at light. I've already kind of set my metering up. I am prepared to walk out. So when I literally shut the door of my car, he was sitting in a tree, and I walked straight to the tree and like literally went and click, and he looked at me like that, and then he turned around and flew away from me. And I'm like, of course he would. But I love that shot. I just love the I love how I was able to compose it. I don't know if you noticed, but like even here, like at the very bottom here, like out of focus, branches, I was very much fighting with light, but I was also moving my focus points around so I could make sure that he was in focus and not the tree. So it's, very much, driving the camera to its most extent. This next one down here is of peaking owls. I don't know if everybody sees that second set of eyes right there. I love that shot. It's one of my most favorite because that little baby kept on playing peekaboo with me. And it was just so much fun. And there's a third one there. You can kind of see its butt on the far left side. And he was the top one was obviously like he's very much the dominant one. The other one was the care less. I think he was the middle child. And then the little one down below, I'm guessing he's the little one that was just like, what's going on? And then he'd peek his head back down and then come back around. And I probably stood here for 45 minutes waiting for all of them. And Mama was on the other side of this tree, on the far left side. And she was just looking at me like, go ahead. Like she was done with them. She was tired. This next one is also at St. Vrain State Park. It's an osprey. I don't know how many times I've been to St. Vrain trying to capture the osprey. And to finally capture this one was such a great experience. I was just, waiting for them to come down, but I don't know if anybody has tried to capture osprey like this, but how many times do they spin on you and you just get a really great shot of their butt? And it's, as we all know, that wildlife likes to turn away from us. So I was really happy to get that silhouette, late in the evening or evening, right before sunset, the light coming through the backside, it was just phenomenal and a little overexposed, but I was really focusing on the animal and not the light behind. So this next one, the first one there is a white sphinx, also known as the hummingbird moth. I actually was on a hike because I knew that there was a place where there were some beavers, and I was like, oh, and I was going around, and all of a sudden I'm like, what is that? And that's a hummingbird moth. And they actually turn more pink. I learned this later in the season. So that was actually shot in very late September. And if you saw one today, up in the mountains, they are very brown. But at the very end of the year, they're soaking up so much, pollen that they actually start to turn the colors of the flowers that they're feeding on, which I learned from lots of reading. And then the next one was just happened to be walking and captured this butterfly in Buena Vista on a trail. But I loved how the coloring with the red and then almost the purple stem and then the yellow, it just kind of like, and it had every rule to me of like, of how flow works or movement, however you want to call it. But it's a great moment and really happy to capture that. And actually this is up against a black vehicle. That's literally why it's black behind it. This was up in a campground and it was just moved off from the feeder and was just far off enough that I could just get this perfect thing with the black vehicle with the black tinted windows. And I just loved how it was silhouetted. Very high shutter speed, lots of patience, and a lot of fun to try to shoot hummingbirds. I don't know if anybody has done so, but it takes some patience and a lot of skills to to understand where you're focusing, because they don't stay still for more than a second. I'm now on to other animals. The first one here is I call it Waiting for Mom. That was up at Sprague Lake. The baby was sitting there, kind of laying in the reeds right next to the water, and Mama's just feeding. And the scary part is at the same time, there was a lady that was behind me that said, "I want to pet the baby." And I was very far back with a monopod, and I actually got in between her, because she was walking towards the baby because she was gonna go pet it. And I was like, "No, we're not doing that." And just as I was like telling her no, and she was kind of getting mad at me, all of a sudden a ranger was walking towards that area, and he just yelled, "Listen to the photographer." And I, in a snarky voice, said, "I'm the photographer," just like that. And she got really mad at me, but the ranger said thank you for not letting her do that, because I didn't want to watch her get trampled or anybody else. And then this next one, I call this moose scare, because this is about the scaredest I have been with any animal. This is up on the Rainbow Lakes Trail in Frisco. I don't know if anybody's been up there. There was 4 big bull moose way up on a burn scar. And I happened to be like, okay, I'm going to see if I can get them. And I have my 500 millimeter, and I also have a second camera with me, with just it's a 105 lens. And I'm standing on the trail, and it goes, like this way. And I look up and I realize that there's a female moose walking down the trail towards me, like literally on the trail. And I'm like, I better go. And just as I said, I better go, about 20 yards the other way, he came up from behind me, and it just rained. It was still very windy. And so I was kind of trapped. I couldn't go that way because the female, I couldn't go that way because the big bulls are up in the thing. He came up from behind me, and behind me, I just happened to stop where there was 2 crisscross trees, a pine and an aspen, that had both fallen. I was in a pocket. So I hid behind a tree, and I thought, this is how I'm going to die. And he came around and he gave me that look right there, and I got it. And then he ignored me and kept on going, and I was stuck behind a tree for about 20 minutes. And but I love the shot. I love just that look of just like, what are you doing? And when I do go out, I'm normally not wearing bright colors like my shoes or anything. I'm trying to be very muted, very earth tones and camouflage. But it was still just very fun to be that close to such a large animal. This is out at the arsenal with the bison. I love that the younger ones, like, he's coming in the hair. It just looked to me, I've always said to people, and if you look at that, it's almost like a dad looking at a teenager saying, get a haircut, get a real job, quit being lazy. And then this next one is a elk up on Old Fall River Road. He was near the top, and I was waiting for the light to just get right, because it kept on going cloudy. And then it would get we'd have a cloud and then a sun. But he wouldn't give me he would turn his head and turn his body away. And then finally the sun hit, he just came up and just gave me that great profile. And I just love that. And he was right up above me. It was really fun. And it's another place. I see a lot of moose and elk up on that very top side of Old Fall River Road. So great place for wildlife up there, along with marmots. I don't know if anybody has been up to the Sandwash Basin. If anybody's heard of it. It's where the wild horses are, up about an hour and a half northwest of Craig, Colorado. So if you stay in Craig, it's still an hour and a half, and you highly recommend a really good 4x4, not something I wouldn't suggest a RAV4, maybe because I have a Tacoma and I can go out there just fine, but it is very sandy, a lot of rocks. There's a whole group of wild horses out there, and these are 2 different images I got of them. I love the white one here, because he kept on kind of bringing his head down, and he'd kind of come up around and peek up at me and wonder what I was doing. And it's always windy out there, so they always have these really cool action with the wind and the vanes blowing and all. But I highly recommend the Sandwash Basin for wildlife. This next one here is a cinnamon black bear that was shot in Yellowstone. her babies were up in a tree and she was patrolling back and forth because she knew a male was probably nearby. So she was letting them kind of be up in the tree. And then at a certain point, she started to, call at him and get him back down. But she went behind like a little bit of a ridge and they went down the other way. So I couldn't get a great shot of them. And then if anybody's been up to the Beartooth Highway, that is on the northeast corner of Yellowstone, going out to the Lamar Valley. It's a spectacular drive. But my wife and I decided to do a little hike, and we were, maybe a half mile in, and all of a sudden we got to this little clearing, and all of a sudden we heard grunting. And he was across a little bit of a valley, and this is shot with a 500 millimeter, but he was, closer than I felt comfortable, and he was a very large guy. And I was trying to get my camera, and my wife was trying to get the bear spray. So we can see priorities there, but we didn't have to use it. He just kind of grunted, and it had been raining. You can see a little wet. But I just love that. I mean, he was very, very large male, and it was really cool to see a bear, that large, that close. But I was able to just get the photo and then turn around and like back away slowly. So, but a lot of fun. Another place to go see them, because you get to go from Wyoming to Montana to Wyoming to Montana again, because you go like this right on the border for a bit. This right here is Nubs. He is, if you've ever been up to Grand Tetons, he is actually kind of a famous moose up there that I learned about. They call him Nubs because he only grows about 2/3 of a rack every year. And I learned this from a ranger. So he grows that half, like that smaller rack, and he hangs out at Schwabacher Landing. And it was really cool watching him, meander around in there. And and when moose are in the water, they got so much action with the water dripping, and they're just kind of big sloppy. And he's honestly the most patient moose I've ever seen around people, because there was a ton of people there, and he was just like, when he went to go right, he walked right past people and didn't even care. And I've seen other times moose get a little, testy if somebody was within like 20 feet of them. So, but that was really, really cool. And one thing I like to remind me is be prepared for the next shot. And this is another shot of Nubs, but he kind of raised his head up. And the reason I say that is when I was walking up, I got that shot. And I normally carry 2 cameras with me on just about every hike. I often have a big telephoto and then a second body. So, and this is a very, very popular image of mine. Just being able to walk up with him in the water, and the Grand Tetons, just the green, it's got just everything I've ever learned about photography. It's one of I'm most proud of, and I was very happy to even be able to see that. And it's just so much fun. And then this is also Schwabacher Landing in the fall. So it's just different area. The water was obviously much more shallow when that other one was shot. Was I believe early July. This is I think the last weekend in September. So a little bit different angle, but it's how the water flows in there. It's kind of a wetland. It's a great place to go on a nice easy hike. And this is another thing, and I like to show is it's the same location, different season. It's a very popular shot of mine is Boulder Falls in the fog. That was shot, with a tripod. I did use an Indie filter to give myself a little bit of extra way to stop down to really get that cotton candy effect. And then I went back there in the winter, after we had some snow and I got kind of the ice. And it's a very different feeling, 2 different shots, or same location, 2 different shots, 2 different feelings, with it. So I always remind people that sometimes you might go to the same place and they're 2 different images, that are waiting there for you, just different seasons. And also to have patience. This was in Grand Tetons. I got this really kind of nice, cool sunburst with the flowers happening. It's I also had a puzzle made of this this image here, and then the next one was this. I went 2 minutes down the road and saw a different view of the mountains, and the sky was starting to turn pink, and it's not quite doing it justice on the PowerPoint here, but the sky's a little more pink, and it's just a fun, like, so just remember, like, patience, and your light's going to change, but you can always see different things that are happening as you go along. And sometimes a great shot is just around the corner. This is Hanging Lake. I hiked up there, and I noticed all these wildflowers right here were in the shade. So I went up and I got Spouting Rock. Spouting Rock is 200 yards to the south around the backside of Hanging Lake. Unfortunately, this year, Spouting Rock is it's more should be called like trickle. It's barely flowing. It's kind of sad, but it's where we are with this drought. But and I came back and waited so I could get the wildflowers and get this different angle of Hanging Lake. It's another one of my most popular shots. I literally sold 2 30 by 45s of this past weekend at an art show. So like, it's very popular. People really love it. And even though there is the burn scar up in the upper corner there, it's still, it shows part of nature, but it was also, noticing something that everybody's just standing there looking at it straight on. And I happened to see the wildflowers when I went over to take a break, and then I set up for the shot. So, and please don't go over the railing at Hanging Lake and, climb into the rocks or not the log. So. And these are just, I went to college in the Northwest, so I have a love of Washington and Oregon. So the first one there is Haystack Rock on Canyon Beach. And I was waiting for the sun to just really give me like that kind of burst, right around the rock. And I was kind of playing like, should I go this way? Should I go back this way? There's a lot of patience and trying to make sure there was nobody else in my way, because we all know that people are always in the way. And then the second one, I kind of climbed down under the rocks in the Columbia River Gorge for this just super green feeling of that. And I just kind of love it felt like it just goes on forever. And it kind of went up. And then there's actually waterfalls you can see right there, but it's really hard to see on that screen. Fall colors are always fun. Also, it's kind of fun for me to name my photos. Growing up, I'm 51, so when there was if you've ever heard, there's gold in them our hills. When I saw that photo, it was just so much yellow. I was like, oh, and that's what I named that image. That's on the $1 Million Highway. From what I've been reading, the fall colors this year could be a very, very short window, or there are already trees right now that are up in areas that people think are turning to yellow, but they're actually more turning to brown because they're already dropping because they're in drought shock. So little things I've learned and read. So it's going to be an interesting year for fall colors, but the $1 Million Highway is a great, couple day trip if you can make it on a long weekend. It's just, you're going to be in a car in traffic at some point. The next one up here on the top is Lions Open Space up in LaPorte. I was up there just kind of goofing around one day, and I was on this walk, and I was just kind of looking for fall colors, and I heard this little stream next to the Pooter, and I was like, where am I hearing this little bit of water from? And I just kind of walked down, and it was right next to, like, there's a fence that's like just to the other side of it, and it said private property, do not cross. So I didn't cross it, but I actually was standing with 1 foot like in the water, to get that shot. And then I think one of the compliments I have of somebody who ordered that said they feel like a hobbit should be running across the stream in the background. And I thought, well, that's actually kind of like a cool compliment. And then the last one here is I call it Aspen Drops. It was just on a hike in Golden Gate State Park. And I happened to just look down, and I realized that it had snowed the night before, and all this snow was melting, and it just left this, this really kind of cool, moment. And I just kind of shot, got down and got the shot. So, sometimes you have to look around to find your shots, but also, listen. I've seen photographers out where they have like their headphones in, and I'm like, how do you know if there's a bear behind you? So, or, and also just, go out and have fun and go see everything. So, if anybody's been up to Longmont, there's a place called Golden Ponds. When I do my photography classes, it's a lot of times where I take my students there because it is great for birds. It is great for landscapes. And it was just kind of an evening, actually during a photography class where I shot this and was teaching the students how to meter. And one thing I do for metering is I use very much the zone system. If anybody's heard of the zone system, it was invented by Ansel Adams. I still very much believe in that. I am very much a single spot meter. I don't use evaluated metering all that often because I'm both, meter multiple times and get a judgment on what I actually want the photo to be. So I'm getting the best shot with my shadows, etc. before I actually, I take the picture and I'm not, overcompensating and doing everything that our Photoshop can do. Because I've been using Photoshop since version 1. And it's amazing what Photoshop can do today, but it also kind of makes me sad because I'm like, I still want it to be, the true process of the photographer. So, this next one here, I love winter at times. It can be really fun, but it also is kind of a pain to get to. If you've ever been to any of the ice castles, either in Cripple Creek or like Breckenridge, where they do them, or I think they've done them in Silverthorne also. I actually laid down on the ground, in the path, to get this shot. It was there's an arch down below it, but I just love the sky was just so blue and just those blues, and it just feels like this canyon. And people have asked like, how did I get to the Arctic or the Antarctic? And I'm like, no, it's in Colorado. And then another one is Rifle Falls. I don't know if anybody's been there. It's a gorgeous, it's a really easy, it's a easy hike to just walk up to the falls. And it was just kind of fun just seeing it like in a very different state. When you see it in the summertime, it's very lush, very green, and just kind of and how everything was kind of falling over. It was really cool and just another fun place to go see here in Colorado. I named this one Stump Set. I was in State Forest State Park last summer camping, and I just saw this stump. And normally I kind of like, I know rule of thirds, you maybe have it off to the side or something, but I just loved how it just was like this foreground image that just draws you right to the middle of the photo, and it's almost pointing right towards the sunset. And earlier in the day, while setting up my tent, I missed a bald eagle steal a fish from an osprey. While I'm setting up my tent, I'm watching it happen, going, why am I doing this? I should be photographing. But it's just, I love the composition of it. I just I saw something and waited for the light to be right so I could take the photo. But it's another fun one. And State Forest is another great place also for a lot of moose, if you're looking for moose. This is a great example, what I was talking about with my zone photography, how I view it. This is a Dream Lake reflection. This is coming back out of the Emerald Lake, Dream Lake, Nymph Lake hike. I was coming back and I just happened to see the way the light was coming in, and I got this reflection, and I very much metered, so I was more metering on the sky and the reflection, and really kind of wanted that darkness to come through with more of the shadows, so it was really almost silhouetted. It's another popular shot of mine. I've had quite a few people order this one, and but it's just a great way to learn your cameras, to learn how your camera is seeing light with the zone system. I always say don't be afraid to crop. This is the Great Sand Dunes after a snowstorm, which is like, if you've been down there, it'll snow and then like half an hour later it's gone. And that's what happened here, is that I walked, it was snowing on my way to the Great Sand Dunes. We got there, we did this when we were driving away, it was like 50% of that snow was already melted. because it got so much warmer. But I also I go to the Great Sand Dunes every time I go down to Monte Vista and Alamosa for the sandhill cranes. And it's the sand dunes are such an amazing place. You can see so many textures, the light, it's a lot of fun. The only thing I suggest if you're trying to get shots of the dunes and not of people on the dunes is right when you get to the parking lot, just turn basically west and walk about half a mile and then walk into the dunes, and you're walking into where there's nobody, and you're not walking into where there's people going up and sledding up and down. So, and just a few more examples of my crops. The bottom one was shot when I was doing an art show down in Colorado Springs, right before Thanksgiving. And I got this right at sunrise, and I had a customer literally the day I shot it. I'm literally at my booth editing it because it was a little slow that morning, and it was something just kind of having a little fun. And they asked me if I had any Pano Garden of the God shots, and I said, yeah, look at this. And they said, oh, we want that. And then they ordered it as a 30 by 90. So, and it's like literally when you walk into their house, it's like a whole long wall, and you walk in, and they ended up ordering 4 images from me that one day. So, but it's kind of cool, but also like, sometimes you're at the right spot at the right time. And I just kind of loved how I was able to get that and on a very clear morning with Pikes Peak and Garden of the Gods. Oh, the top one was Rocky Mountain National Park. I love black and white photography. I started in black and white. Another Ansel Adams quote I love is I can get for me a far greater sense of color through a well-planned and executed black and white image that I've ever achieved with color photography. And I love color photography also, but black and white always makes me really happy just because sometimes I see things in black and white. But this first shot here, this is actually a film shot. This was shot in the 90s after a ice storm in Bellingham, Washington, or in Fairhaven, Washington. It's 90 miles north of Seattle. And that's a waterfall that I just used to go hike at when I lived down there. And this was, I was working for a newspaper called the Bellingham Herald at the time, right after college. This was like, I think my first winter. So just a very, it's a memorable shot, but this actually won an award in Bellingham. The year I shot it, I entered it into one of the small competitions, and it won an award for, I think, best black and white composition. So kind of a cool little moment. Again, black and white, Great Sand Dunes. When I was shooting this, I was like, this will be so cool in black and white, because I saw the tonal representation that I wanted with, and how the clouds were rolling in, and the textures of it just made me really happy. And then this next one has been a very popular shot, and I actually have been printing this on a silver metal. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. Your standard metal print is got a white background. This is where there's no, it's on silver, and it looks really, really, really cool. This is in the Sandwash Basin. So this is on a little Jeep trail, and unless you're in like a Jeep, a 4Runner, or a Tacoma, you're not going to get back into there, because a full-size truck, you probably would have scratched the crap out of it with all the sage. But when I was shooting this, I thought to myself, yes, this will be a great black and white image. And the way it was kind of hazy in the background and just the sun, I just love the image, and it's very popular. I've had quite a few people order it. A few people have ordered it with not the silver, but it's a very popular one. And finding old buildings like this was a lot of fun. So highly recommend getting up there, though. I also like to say experiment with light. Earlier I was telling you about when I did the stump set shot, I was telling you about setting up my tent. Well, there's my tent. A lot of people like that because my wife was in the tent, and I was just like, I'm gonna set up my camera, I'm gonna get a shot. And it's kind of cool, and just with the night sky, it was very clear up there. And then the next one is I call it turret light, because I took a light bar and I just kind of dropped it at the bottom of turret arch, and I was waiting for the next shot you'll see. of it, but I was just kind of experimenting, seeing how I could do with it. You know, how long I could leave the light there, how much it would overexpose, and, you know, frustrating with, you know, focusing in the dark, but it was a lot of fun. This is a very popular one of mine also. This is Turret Arch. That's lit up by the moon. That's a 30-second exposure. I waited, it was shot on New Year's Eve, right at like 11:50 p.m. So I was able to go get the shot. And I was honestly, I sat there for like 20 minutes just watching the moon slowly, like light me up enough. And then when it finally got there, I got the shot, and then I packed up my gear and I sat on a rock and let the new year come in with just me. And I was the only car in the whole parking lot, and it was magnificent because the sky there is gorgeous. You know, it's a night sky, you know, area, so it's wonderful for that. This is kind of me playing with light, being a little bit more, you know, manipulative. This is a wagon. It's an old wagon that is at a cabin in Estes Park. And I was doing a show up there, and I'm staying at the cabin. And the first night I'm like, oh, I want to do this shot of the cabin. I mean, with the, like at night with the stars. And of course, the first night it was cloudy and kind of, you know, rained a little and just didn't give me anything. And the next night it was the same thing. And then the third night, which was Sunday night, it was clear. So I actually dropped a light bar in the wagon to light up the hoops. And then I took the photo. It's a 30-second exposure again. And I actually used a handheld speed light, and I popped it twice to fill in the light. So this is not like stacking or anything else. This is just one exposure, just thinking like film. I mean, because I don't enjoy as much of the computer work as actually, you know, doing it like this. So, but it's, you know, different ways you can do things, but it was just a lot of fun to find something like this and to expose it, you know, the way I would have, even with film back in the day. I have an aspherical lens. I don't know if anybody's ever shot with like an 8mm. It's a lot of fun. The first shot on the top there is up on Kevlar Pass. I don't know if anybody's been up there. It's the largest aspen grove in the Colorado area. And I laid down on my back, and right around the ring, it's really hard to see, and it's a little small. That's all the ferns that are growing around. And then I just shot straight up into the trees. It was just a fun experimenting. The next one, it was a saguaro, and it had all these crazy arms kind of doing its thing. And I thought, why not try to give it the spherical? Because it honestly would seem more like, you know, like it's almost like it's dancing or something. And then the last one I shot of, I kind of put a white vignette on it instead of the standard black. I just kind of reversed it. Is on Panama City Beach, Florida at right at sunset. But I just thought try it with an aspherical, try to get like, you know, that 180 degrees of the beach. And it's kind of like a dreamy, you know, a dreamy way of seeing it. And then this is my last little section here. Sometimes an amazing images are just a few steps outside your front door. The first one is sunflower sunset. That sunflower, it was growing in the field right next to my house. And I saw it and was like, I'm waiting for a good night sunset. I'm going to go get the sunflowers. And I intentionally lit them the way I did. If you looked at it really, really close, you can actually see the little black specks of the insects that are still flying around in there. And I didn't Photoshop them out because I kind of thought they were part of the photo. And this just won an award for composition with the Longmont Art Guild for this show. The next one is a bald eagle that is on my roof. Since I live right next to a field where there's rabbits and prairie dogs, I've had 4 bald eagles on my roof since I've lived there. And he was just stretching his claws, and you can see he's a young, just coming into adulthood, but he was just he'd stretch his claw and then stretch his claw, but he was just kind of, you know, hanging out. And again, you could see the little black specks, and those are the insects that were flying around. I just thought they were kind of part of, you know, picking on him. So And then just suggestions, learn the core fundamentals, learn to read light, read your camera manuals. I don't know why I have to say that, but read them. Learn the zone system. I think it's made me the photographer I am. Learn your focus modes and know how to change them quickly. Because sometimes if you're shooting wildlife and you are just shooting landscapes, you only have one camera, you might need to be able to change those fast. Learn your metering modes. Practice, it makes a memory card full. So, and then always, location, location, and location. They make up everything, right? Get out, and then I like to just show this, that the zone system, it really how like my brain sees this, and I can only say it's because I have literally 40 years of photography, but you can find different versions of this, and it's just good to kind of study it and learn it. And but I like to just point that out to everybody. And then this is my gear. Yeah, I have a lot. I have all these, and then my other gear, I also have a Nikon and a Sony. I have a Sony for a little travel camera because it's so small and it was nice. And I also teach photography. I do beginner photography classes. So I also picked up a Nikon a D810 to so I could learn the Nikon system as well. So I could know it too well. And then I use Apple Mac Studio. I have BenQ, some of their highest end monitors, the full Adobe suite, and really in Topaz Labs. And then that's me at the Great Sand Dunes with my Basset Hounds. They pretty much go everywhere with me and my wife. We call them the Colorado Adventure Bassets because they get to go on more adventures than most people do. The next one was me a year ago at the Longmont Art Guild, and then there's me just kind of composing a photo that my wife took. And then I have social media and a full website. So, and that's me. Hey, bucket.
Brandon, could you take a minute to talk about how and where you sell your work?
Yeah. I do art shows.
Brandon, hold on. Turn on only one light.
So I'm not in the dark.
Not all three, just one.
Soon.
Sooner or later,
That's
hey,
okay.
there you go.
That's good. I go to art shows like this last weekend. I was at the Greeley Arts Picnic. It was 99 degrees on Friday when I set up. It was 108 on Saturday. And on Sunday, it was 105. Obviously, it was not a wonderful show in the afternoons because nobody wanted to be there because there was no customers because they all would have melted. But I was out there in that the whole time. I do this particular year, I'm not doing it, but I've done Broomfield days many years. In a week and a half, I'll be at the Loveland Art in the Park. If anybody's heard of that, it's one of the biggest Colorado shows. Earlier this year, I did Territory Days down in Colorado Springs. I do the Molly McGee's shows. They're indoor for winter markets and stuff. And beyond printing all my images, I also I do sublimation, which is like coasters, mugs, tumblers. I have puzzles made of my photography, which is a very large investment because I have to order 64 of each puzzle. And then I do a little bit of magnets. I do a calendar every year. Lots of different stuff like that. I have a graphic design background also, so all that's kind of easy for me to do. And then I have a full website and doing things like Etsy and stuff, which used to be okay, but Etsy kind of died. Mm-hmm. They put in algorithms that are great for your top end people, but not for, or for your big wholesalers, but not for an average younger person. One thing I do, I print in different ways. I use a company called sharpprints.net. If you guys are looking for actual photographic prints, not ink, I'm talking wet lab, through a machine that's actually giving you an actual, with light and the photochemicals. I use sharpprints.net for my matted prints. So when you come up to one of my booths, I have, you can flip through and there's, 100 and some of them. I'm having those printed there. They're actually using Noritsu machinery and Fuji machinery with Kodak and or Fuji paper, your choice. And you can choose, matte, glossy. That's a great way if you actually want real photographic prints that get away from, get away from like sometimes you'll see lines on the lower end inkjets and all. And then for my metal prints, I use Art Beat Studios. They're an award-winning lab out of California, and I'm platinum with them, which basically means I've spent more money than I know what to do with them. And they are they drop ship for me. So if I have a customer who comes to a show like Estes Park, but they're from Wisconsin, they order, I actually say okay, and then I ship to their house. And Artbeat Studios is the only printer I found that for a 24x36 print comes in a wood crate. It doesn't get shipped in a box. So it's a high-end lab, and I very much believe in what they do for me. So that's just a little bit of other information about what I do. Any other questions?
Yeah, the teaching that you do, is that affiliated with the school or is it just you?
I have affiliated with the city of Longmont through their rec center, but I also do private lessons. If you're interested in like, getting more advanced, I will teach a class for, specifically for you. I have a book that I wrote that goes with my class. And my next one that I'm going to work on this next winter here is a Photoshop and like Lightroom class, like a photo editing class. So just because I know Adobe probably better than I want to. So, but I do it. You can sign up for the class on my website. There's no cost at the time. And then I either do 2-hour session or a 4-hour session. My 2-hour sessions for a beginner, like when I do like just for somebody who's like, I got a Canon Rebel and I'm stuck in green mode. Because they don't know they can't understand the light meter at all. I actually wrote a book and I have a presentation, and for 2 hours we meet, I try to use like the library, and we'll do the class, and then the next 2 hours we'll go somewhere and kind of practice what we do. And I built a scavenger hunt behind it. And when I do it in Longmont, we often go to Golden Ponds because I actually have my scavenger hunt is built off of Golden Ponds. So it's a real fun to go there. But it helps them do things because like I'll take your camera and I'm gonna change a bunch of settings on it and I'm gonna hand it back to you and say, you just learned this, now fix it. But it's good because what happens is when we go out for a photo and you're like, oh, this is a beautiful sunset. So you set your camera up for a sunset and you take a photo of it, and you go home and you take your memory card out and you download it, and then you put your memory card back in your camera. and then you go out and then all of a sudden you see a bird. And you're like, I want to take a picture of a bird, but your camera's set up for like a tripod, sunset shot. How do you change that fast? How do you drive your camera to be that fast? So you can just get to the next mode and get the image of the bird before it flies away. So it's kind of like how I teach is a very hands-on, because I want you to be able to know your camera and learn how to drive it the way. And because I used to be a Nikon guy back in the 90s, and then my first job, I was working at the Bellingham Herald, and they handed me an EOS 1 film, and that was like that was given to me by the Bellingham Herald, and when I had to go learn that, and then after a while I was like, I'm faster with this than I was with my Nikon F4. So, and I became a Canon guy.
All right. Well, thanks, Brandon.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break, and then we'll come back and view our member photos. Maps up here if you want one, come get them.
Okay.
Break time.
See you after the break, everyone.
Oh, and there are cards on the back table if you'd like any. Yeah. Let's do the chair.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Alright. Somebody turn off the lights back there.
Okay, Bill, you wanna make a comment about this?
Thank you. No. But I gotta thank Mike for the wake up call. He sent me a text, hey, we do something for the full moon. I'm like, oh shit, we just have just enough time to maybe run out to the airport. Yeah.
Was this 2 in the morning or
No,
something?
no, this is like, this is the moonrise, so it's like,
Dawn.
like 9:15 when this happened, it was a month ago. And Mike's text was at 8 o'clock and I, no time to plan, go to the airport. And we just plunked our tripods down and the planes were landing south to north. And this was the only airplane landing that came anywhere near the moon. Incredible. My favorite part is the reflection of the
hotel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To his credit, he hadn't even got his tripod level, and he just grabbed the camera up and set it up and saw that it was not ready when this plane came in.
Wow.
He was firing prematurely. Time to do the song, and I said, put it on auto. That's something. And this is pretty much the way it came out, so.
Well, our friends keep us really humble, won't they?
Yeah.
Great shot.
Great job.
Yeah.
Bob Bergman.
Yeah, this was taken in Utah on the Green River in the Desolation Canyon. Pretty late at night.
Nice shot.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And Kelsey. I guess we got shadows and light in this picture, however. Caleb.
Yeah, it's was just in a parking garage. And I was intrigued by how the light seemed to follow the same path as the arrow. So yeah, I spent a few minutes photographing that, and this was this was the parking garage at Mount Rushmore, and so there were tons of tourists walking around. What on earth, dude? It's over there. So, but yeah, that's
Love it.
I like that one. This is my picture. Took it at Derby Lake at Rocky Mountain Arsenal. They let you in at sunrise and just went up to Derby Lake, and there they were, morning light.
Nice light.
Yes, plus shadows.
Yeah.
Carolyn Walter, is Carol here? I haven't seen
Double rainbow.
And there's the pot at the end.
Is there gold in them pots?
Great composition.
Just look back.
Pull that off.
Looks like
Yeah.
house.
Charlie Kirkham. Charlie is here. I haven't seen him.
Is he online, Charlie? No?
Yeah, I'm online, sorry. Yeah, I took that image in January and then promptly had my lenses fall out of my bag into the sand, so I had to go home and then went back later in the year.
Oh, man. How did the gears end up?
Oh, it was fine. I just cleaned it off really well, with like a rocket blower and Zeiss wipes. So
All right. I mean, camera gear just loves fine sand. Nice shot.
thanks.
Dwight, are you on?
Nice.
I sure am. This is in my backyard, basically. I just like the texture of the sand and the pristine condition of the sand. This was the first day after the park reopened after COVID.
Nice. Can you take us to this spot, Dwight?
I can, but right now this exact spot could be flat with a little vegetation. The sand is always moving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice, very nice.
Yes. It's Gary.
I was up at Rocky Mountain Arsenal and up at one of the lakes. I saw the reeds and there it is.
That's pretty
Nice, nice light.
Yeah, the light was great that morning.
great movement.
Hans.
That's a new.
Lights and shadows,
Okay, who is she?
Sarah.
Oh,
Yeah, this was just a fun, we call it a play date at Johnny's studio where I shoot a lot. And, yeah, I think the only lights used were those lights that you see in the picture.
yeah,
Great.
nice.
Great animals.
Yeah, good composition.
Jim.
So I got up really early and met another photographer from Denver, and I turned and looked at her and says, "Did you get up at 3 a.m. too?" And she said, "Yes, I did." So both of us were standing across from Sprague Lake, looking east with the sunrise. That was the blue hour. I just made it black and white because I thought it was just a pretty picture.
Great reflection. Mirror, so clear.
Yeah, it's so remarkable. When you're in the mountains, it almost never is perfect as reflection. So it's really rare to kind of find a pretty morning. It brought me some joy just looking, being there.
It's nice when the clouds turn out nice for you as well.
Yeah, they're a little bit cooperative there.
No moose?
No moose. I was looking for it. I read Jenny this is the spot where Sprague Lake is that moose. It's always there. It's that east, it's west end, and that's where the moose.
Yeah, over on the right hand corner.
Yeah,
as you're
yeah.
looking
Kind
at-
of just
yeah.
right of this photograph.
That's where he hangs out.
Get back.
Yeah, I took this in the Czech Republic in one of the churches. And I just like the simplicity of it and the shadows, light, composition. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Perfect. It's the spiral cropping tempo from my German photos.
Yeah.
Right on.
Exactly what it is. Yeah.
Beautiful shot.
Yes, very nice. Joan.
This was in the Grand Canyon. I took this a few years ago. It was very smoky and hazy. But thanks to Lightroom, you can get a little of the haze burned off.
So you used DAs,
Yes,
cut it down quite a bit.
yeah.
Is this north rim?
I don't even really know. It was quite a while ago, actually, probably 6-7 years ago.
Nice. Thank you.
I think it's the south.
No, Russell.
South Rim.
I don't think Joe's here. Are you online, Joe?
Yeah, I mean,
There's a visitor center.
there is really close to that spot. So I'll take the bus to that spot.
Yeah.
We got shadows and light.
No, that's pretty.
John, read.
That's one of the slot canyons around Page, Arizona. It's not the infamous Antelope Canyon. It's, you have to buy a private tour and there's some crazy guy in town that will take you out, just, you or whomever. So there was a group of 3 of us went. And I wanted it's light, but it's shadow, and it's not a stark contrast. You see, some of the photos that we've seen here today have been bright light and shadow in the same image. This is a transition, as it goes from light to dark, soft.
What's the stuff? That's fun.
I think I probably shot this thing like F16, F12, F16, something in there.
Yeah, let's see. Oh,
And I
not
strip
in
all
there.
of the bad days off.
Scripted, okay.
All the secrets.
Now, I have a couple of really cool shots. I took a fisheye, put a fisheye in, and there was a window at the top and a hole at the bottom, and I have a sunburst coming in at the top and a hole at the bottom. So, but I like this one. I just, the composition of, this is the angel of the slot canyon, and you can see the shoulders and the face. And again, it's a transition of light to shadow.
Nice.
Great shot.
Okay,
That was Lost Apache Refuge. At the end of the day, I just like the shadows and the closeness to the shore.
do you use Lightroom?
No,
You don't?
why?
No, I mean, do you use Topaz or denoise? I just thought your photo, I mean, I really like it, don't get me wrong, but it could be improved if you could reduce the noise a little bit.
I think I would add more texture, more noise to it by adding grain to it.
Larry, these are the Tetons in a different season than Brandon's photos, but this is February, one of those mornings where you get up, it's totally dark and 20 degrees and you wonder why you picked photography. But yeah, this is from the main road, one of the lookouts, and caught a whole series.
Nice shot.
Yeah, very nice.
What do you do photography?
That's a good car, Edward.
Yeah, this is sunset up in Rocky Mountain National Park. We're up there, what, 3 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah, it was new moon of July.
Yeah, we're up there early enough, we took some flower pictures with Jim providing commentary and then up to the sunset spot and the Milky Way spot, so we had a nice little tour.
Nice.
Great.
Yes. I should.
This is what happens when you can't think what to do and the picture is due tonight. So I had my partner early in the morning take the shot, photoshopped everything up with my shoes and titled it the Ghost Island.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Nice shadow.
Brilliant.
And Mike Irwin.
I am a big fan of the reflections on the water. Yeah, been impressed with the photos I've seen by others of Irene Lake up in Rocky Mountain National Park. About 2 weeks ago, I was camped up there in the area near Granby, so this was an easy drive. And it took 2 nights to get this shot. First night, I met a moose up there in the dark. And plus entertaining. This particular night was peaceful and calm, and I have to give Bill a huge kudos for helping me tease out the water reflections.
You not only got the Milky Way, but you get the reflection of the stars in the lake too.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Yes. Mike Goss.
Yeah, since I went out with Harry Schussler the first day of the Erie Balloon Festival and noticed that the sun was coming, so that we had the shadow of one of these people on the inside of the balloon there, and I thought that was kind of a fun shot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost thought about calling Ghost in the Balloon.
Okay. This is Phil.
This is an aerial photo last November, and I just noticed in November, we get a lot of amazing sunsets. And I like the different cloud formations.
Phyllis,
This one, was taken at the art museum and they had like a exhibit of light. And they had interactive where you could do different things and, you know, and just for fun and the kids could run and jump and make shadows. And anyway, this is my hand. And then just the way I posted.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Very original.
Is it different color lights with different angles?
Nice job.
Or
I'm
just-
not even sure.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looks like a different colored lights at different angles that would make crazy shadows. It's really pretty.
Phyllis, my wife loved your picture.
Very creative.
Rachel,
I was at Bruner House looking at all the different creatures, checking out the flowers there, because the gardens there are so beautiful. And then I came across, this is right before like the teaching vegetable garden, and it's so hot that I thought this sunflower in the shadow really captured the summer we've had so far.
Nice.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Raymond.
So I don't remember where this is, but it really could be anywhere. I'm calling it on vacation at last. The glasses were there, and I don't normally stage pictures, but I just moved them around a little bit. So they would overlap.
Nice.
Like color strip class.
I like it.
Very, very interesting use of light and shadow.
Looks like an Aperol spritz.
Yes.
How many you have, where you have to get shot? I gotta try again. Another round, gotta try again.
Becca's not here tonight. You online?
You're breaking up.
So this is an anole sunning itself on my parents' umbrella, and I just like the flow of its body with the pattern of the umbrella.
Yeah.
The texture.
Great silhouette.
Is that Costa Rica?
Texas.
Very nice. I like it. My wife loved it.
Oh, thanks.
I get to see all your pictures.
So can I tell you one of the things that's interesting to me is that echoes.
Bob Hopper.
Yes, I took that in my kitchen. I made a 1 foot by 2 foot softbox. Set the wine bottle in front of the softbox with an enlarged silhouette of the wine bottle between the bottle and the softbox, and took several pictures.
Turned out great.
Yeah,
Yeah, very different.
very nice.
I love your technique.
It's an empty bottle.
Well, yeah, but that's half the fun. You got it. Never mind. Thank you.
Taking a bottle, any picture.
Roxanne.
We're sideways.
Sideways.
It is sideways. Why did you send it this way? Oh, really? I just put what you guys send me. Let's see. Do you want me to try and turn it around? Turn your head, that's all. Okay,
Beautiful reflection.
Yeah.
it is. It's got great texture.
I think if you actually take it from a kind of abstract perspective, the horizon is so straight that you kind of have this nice like square canvas on one side and the rectangle on the other, and then it really just draws your eyes into the texture.
It actually looks kind of nice this way.
Where was this?
This was in the Caribbean, so at night, the moon was just perfect.
Yeah,
And what you don't see, it looks calm. I was on the aft of the ship. And it was peaceful behind us. and we were going into a storm, so I was wedged into the framework of the ship trying to keep from getting blown away.
Beautiful shot.
We'll come back to this and I'll try and rotate it when we're done with the A's.
Tomorrow is full moon, by the way, rising at 8:30 p.m. If anybody wants to get out and shoot.
This is Tim.
Canyonlands, I think it's called Yellow Cliffs or something like that, but I just loved the shadow of that mountain. You know, and you know, the bright sunset lighting or this is sunrise lighting and the shadows.
So where were you when you took the picture? You weren't, you didn't have drones.
No.
That's just right next.
No.
Just on the other rim.
I think it's called Yellow Cliffs. And
I believe
at
it.
the end of that, what do they call that? The Grand Island or Grand?
Oh, it's a gorgeous photo.
Island of Organa, isn't it?
By the way, Tim,
Yeah.
I really like your YouTube, which I'm doing recently.
Is it on YouTube?
Is it Instagram? It's one of those.
Oh, Instagram.
Instagram, okay, yeah.
That's good. Thanks.
Wendy, are you on, Wendy?
Yes. You might recognize that bird. It was you, Gary and Carl were with me when we photographed this osprey at Walden Ponds.
Oh, yeah. I recognize his beak. That was a really nice capture you made.
Yes.
As I remember, this was a lot of fun tracking this fellow down.
I just happened to be, you guys were way ahead of me, and I was at the lake, and I just saw him fly by, and I saw the tree where he landed in, and I think you guys came back, and he was like my pet bird. He was just sitting there forever.
Yeah, you got a great shot.
Good action.
Thank you.
And this is Zoc. Now, Zoc sent me a special message when he sent this in. He said that he actually took this with film, 4x4 film, you know.
Nice.
And then he had it converted to digital and then combined, you know, and it knitted all those pictures together to make this.
Yeah, oh, it's panorama that he shot on film.
Yes.
It's 3 shots that he, stitched, after he got it back digitally, he stitched them together. Okay.
Turned out nice.
So that is the actual famous Antelope Canyon, so, I had to dig back in the archives to find something, and I didn't have a whole lot of time. This is actually straight out of the camera. I may have just white balance, that's it.
Nice. So someone threw some sand.
Well, yes, they do that for you.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of the A's. Now, let's
You know,
go
what's interesting
back.
about that last photo is that light does not have color and you can't see it. So if you put dust in the room or throw some sand up, suddenly you can see it, this seems like that's pretty picture there.
You get the beam with, you know, because usually there's a lot of people walking around in there.
Yeah.
But then they really toss stuff up for you and make it very visible.
Oh, yeah, the fireball.
Yeah, it was one of the tours where you don't have much time, you're moving through around.
Well, this was a photography tour specifically, so they actually held the crowds for us, so to allow us to get some shots. Now, we still didn't have a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
But, you know, normally if you're not on the photography tour, people are just walking.
Oh,
Like,
this
they
one
don't
here
photograph them.
Right.
So they take you in kind of an off time, and then they hold the other tour groups at specific spots for a little bit, not long.
Can I share an observation about the gecko? Did you notice that its face points to the right and it fills in the negative space, so the space doesn't fill, it feels full because of just looking at the gecko.
Rotated.
It looks beautiful this direction too.
Yeah. I like it better this way too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how you cropped
So
it.
you were on a boat.
Yeah.
You want a boat where you took this, nice,
It's also because.
looks like a painting.
Yeah, it does. Okay, that takes care of the sign. Here we go.
Open category, can be anything.
This is, Bill.
Timberline Falls, and, I, there's a French artist who, did a painting in the early 1900s. This is not a pipe, it was kind of a famous painting. So this is called, this is not a Milky Way, because, it is, but it isn't. It's really a picture of, me regaining my hope to be able to do these kinds of photos again, to climb up with gear to the higher elevations, where a couple years ago I kind of thought I lost my window of opportunity to do that. So this really is only 11,000 feet, but the higher elevations are on the horizon.
That's a big hike. I was just there on Sunday.
Yeah, well, Zach and I camped in Andrews Creek. I carried all of our camping gear up, and then we went up after we threw our tent up. So, yeah, it was fun. And everybody, there were people even at 8:30 at night climbing up to Sky Pond with no headlamps on.
Wow.
Absolutely nuts.
There were two pine martens that ran right by us on that trail in morning time, chasing each other, right next to us.
They've got blue eyes if you ever see them at night.
Bob Herbert.
This is over at McKay Lake, and it was, in the morning, it was a terrible photo as it was, and so just as an experiment, I really liked the neck feathers, how crisp they were, and so I just turned it into a pure, two-tone to try and accentuate those, because it was just, otherwise it was terribly exposed.
Really cool. This is
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This is my picture. This is also at Walden Ponds. I think I took it the same day that we were there with Wendy. But I call this Mosquito Alley, but it's April, so the mosquitoes were now too much. But you get the shadows and the light and the leading line going in. And
The osprey was in the trees on the left.
yeah, the osprey was to the left of us. Apparently, no, Carolyn's not here.
I like it.
And Charlie Kirkham, are you still here, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm here. This was at the Gator Park near Alamosa. I went to sand dunes and did a bunch of stuff in that area. And I enjoyed this the turtles more than the gators for some reason.
Nice capture.
And this is Dwight, looks like the same thing, but black and white.
Yeah, I think it might be the same dune from a little further around, a little different angle. But yeah, black and white. A little grainy it looks like here. It didn't look quite that bad on my monitor.
Do you have Lightroom or?
Yeah, you can talk to Carl. I think I got my photos in about 1 minute before 9 this time, so I may not have been able to run denoise on this one.
Are you talking about the grains in the foreground or the sky?
The sky.
Yeah, the sky.
Yeah, more of the sky. I like the grain in the foreground.
Yeah.
It just has film grains.
This is Gary.
Eric.
This was what the flyby from last month. And they went right over my head and extremely low. And it just shook the ground.
I don't see the propellers.
I know.
And this looks like same one that we saw before from Hans, except.
It's a different picture, but it's a color.
Like that use of light, it's just impressive.
I don't know which one I like better.
They're both good.
Yeah, they're both great.
Yeah, it's just willing to better more horizontal.
I really like how this is laid out diagonal.
But the color is the blue. Yeah.
Mhm.
The red, brown.
Great.
Good balance.
Red dress always adds something to it.
And she's peeking. There you go.
Jim, Neville,
So, John and Mark and I went up to, take pictures of the Milky Way. And this is called, a really popular place to do outdoor girl every summer. And it's, called Mushroom Ridge. It was just a fun evening sitting around, with the guys taking pictures. All three of us have a picture very similar to this, you know. We all have some.
Yeah.
Get a little bit of a light dump from Denver.
Yeah, it's probably the metro area, or maybe Estes, maybe, or.
Yitka.
Yeah, I love doing silhouettes. Just the shape and light and darkness. So this is my son when he was little, when we were in the Alps, somewhere in Austria, I think. And like the texture of the water and just, you know, a little boy having fun.
His expression is so good.
I took this one at Chatfield Farms. About a month ago, maybe.
Nice shot.
Wow. Must have been a fast shot.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I had it pretty fast. I can't remember what I had, but it's a 8,000.
Say 6 hours.
Smoking. So wow.
Because it was really bright too, so you can hardly get the exposure.
What was the f-stop? Go back to what was the f5.6. Beautiful separation between the bird's background and the other. That's
Great
so
book.
pretty. That's a gorgeous shot.
Thank you.
Joe, Russell,
Still not here.
still not here?
You like this shot.
Yes.
Yeah, nice layers.
Beautiful shot.
John Reed.
That's Logan Pass at sunrise. My wife and I were staying at Glacier National Park and hey, let's go get the sunrise. So you run up to going to the sun road that curves and meanders and goes all. So you got to get up really early. And when you get there, I didn't realize that sunrise at this location is a thing. And there's nowhere to put your car. So my mother or my wife, no, my wife. So she kicks me out of the car and she says, you go take your picture. I'll keep the car moving and just drive in circles. So she did that. So I'm taking pictures of this while she's driving around the block so I can do that. And as soon as the sun sets over the parking lot, empties out, and everybody's back down the mountain. So she could park and we could hike from there. But, that was I liked the rays of the sun as it came up through there. You know, what's in the air there, it was moisture in the air that caught the lines and you could see the shadows of other features. So.
I want you to know, John, that you married up.
Adventure girl. These students call her adventure girl. Half the time she's driving the truck or Jeep while I'm hanging out the window shooting something. So, yeah, she was my supporter.
Great job.
Hey,
Well, it was in the morning, Doug was having a lot of fun, splashing around. I just kind of like the silhouette. And the lights.
The lights in the water is great, yeah.
Good shot.
Larry.
Similar shot, a few minutes later, about 1 degree warmer.
Oh,
Mark, Edward.
yeah, John and I went out to Utah and this was the first day, one of the first.
Yeah, we landed, got off the freeway and landed in a sandstorm.
Yeah, so just taking shots of the sandstorm. I like this one. That's what it is. Oh, I said dust, but it should be sand, yeah.
Mark.
So I took my grandsons to the butterfly museum. Here's this stack of laminated cards to help you identify the butterfly.
And his butterfly is sitting next to his picture on the laminated card. So I titled it, "This Is Me."
That's great.
Mike, go on.
Yeah, this is at Walden Ponds. I've been watching this guy waiting for a while, and he snagged this fish, and he's wading towards shore. And the reason for that is because they don't cut the fish apart like a raptor would. He takes it towards shore and then tries to flip it up so he can get it head first down his gullet.
Right.
And he dropped it, and the fish was flopping away, and he grabbed it again and eventually got it. And you can see the fish sort of going down his throat in a later shot, just swallowing it whole.
Bill.
So this was on a hike up near Steamboat Springs, and at the end of the hike was a old abandoned uranium mine. So I stuck there, it was a grate over the entrance, but I stuck my camera through the grate, took this shot.
Nice.
So you can see the tracks for the border car.
Did you use flash?
No flash, just a long exposure.
Oh.
Colors of rocks are great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tell us.
That was taken at an exhibit, like Plasma or whatever, at the Denver Botanic Gardens. And it's these big globes that are floating. Yeah. Anyway, I just love the shadow on the floor.
Yeah.
Silhouettes of the letters.
Nice. Very unique.
Yes. Rachel.
Also at the Botanic Gardens, this is when we were at the orchid show, and then I wandered around outside, and the people were tending to the Japanese garden, and I love the way this woman was so peaceful and so, at one with what she was doing, and the light was gentle on her face, and I asked her if I could take her photo, and I said, just keep doing what you're doing, and she agreed. There it is.
Nice.
Raymond.
This is near Breckenridge Blue River, on a winter hike. I just like the way the shadows were slanting. Yeah.
I love this picture with the leading line through the woods and the snow.
Nice.
Rebecca.
This is at the Butterfly Pavilion, and it is a shot of the elusive invisible butterfly. You know that time when you're setting up a shot and you're futzing with your settings and it disappears. So there you go. We have a beautiful flower instead. But I like the shadow.
Yeah.
Roxana.
This is a Glacier National Park. And you have the mountain behind, which is the shadow, then you have the crystal formation, which is light, and then you've got the shadows of thousands of years of debris.
Yeah.
Good capture.
Yes. Tim Seaver.
Same position, only this is sunset at Yellow Cliffs Canyonlands National Park. Obviously some bad air, but it was good at sunset.
Wow.
Gives it emotion. So that was like calling.
Wendy.
Yeah, actually.
Sorry, trying to find the mute. So two houses north of us in this giant tree, red-tailed hawks had a nest, and they had three babies.
You never seen a hawk baby before.
So cute. So we got to photograph them as they fledged and everything.
Cool.
So I have thousands of red-tailed hawk photos now. We could see it from the front yard, from the backyard, from the street.
You gonna show us your little mouse picture?
Not this time. I just found it.
All right.
Yeah, I just found it.
Bill, Matthew.
A couple months ago, Mark and I went up to the top of Mount Blue Sky, and I think I sent that photo in color positive last month, and I wasn't here, but Mark asked me to send it in. I like inverting the color. It always brings out a little something different.
Yeah.
Like another planet.
Yeah. Bob Bergman.
This was just a random snap to get the halo on that. I think I was out shooting my blue blackbirds, and that was the best thing I got that trip.
Beautiful backlight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oak.
This is my picture from Pella Crossing. It was a cloudy morning, and yet there's a reflection of the sun off the lakes.
Where is that?
Pella Crossing is just south of Hygiene, Colorado, and west of Longview.
There's a lot of osprey up there.
Yeah.
We've seen osprey in there before. They used to have some osprey platforms
Yeah.
along the creek that runs.
Great
to
place
the
to
west.
watch beaver at sunset to patrol the ponds and swim around and splash tails in the summer.
There's one of the neatest old trees you could ever imagine seeing right on one of these trails around this pond.
Charlie Kirkham.
Yeah, this is like basically a vertical panorama of paint mines when I went back after the first fiasco with my lenses.
Well, it's a good thing you went back. That's a nice shot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right?
Still with us, Dwight?
Yeah, I couldn't get the mute the space bar didn't work this time.
I thought
This is just some, I'm not sure what tracks going across the rippled sand, and I thought it fit the theme.
I would say Mexican wolf. I'm teasing.
Well,
That's probably a good movie.
they were about the size of maybe a dime each, so it was a very tiny Mexican wolf.
His mouse.
Good shot.
Great composition. I love it.
It's great that you found it.
This is Gary.
That was at, where was that, Carl?
Derby Lake.
Derby Lake.
Lower Derby Lake.
Right about shortly after dawn, and there's these are concrete beams or posts of some kind. And this guy's sitting on it, and I looked at that and said, that looks like the black keys on a piano.
Hans?
Oh, I forgot I sent that one in. This was last Sunday at just a fun meetup. I think you've seen her.
That was a good shot. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, cool.
Jim Nibble.
So this is me again, the same shot, but one is really early during the blue hours, which allows me to light up the mushroom rocks there. And a later one during the night, true night, that I merged the two photos together and then created that photograph. So it's kind of you can still see a few of the meteors up there.
So are those meteors, or I heard someone refer to them as satellites?
They could be. Usually the meteors are smaller and slighter, and the other ones are a little more bolder and pronounced. And the airplanes are a little spot. They're kind of red, green, red, green, red, green.
You can tell a meteor too because they're tapered on the ends.
when you zoom in real close to them, you'll see the beginning of it is tapered, the end of it is tapered. And where a satellite is just a square end. Big line is a square end.
Like that too,
Yeah.
So that might see the one on the far left, that one right there, that's probably an airplane. And then take your comment, the more bolder ones are probably a satellite. Is that right? I get that.
But the one in the upper right could be potentially.
Mhm.
Paper there.
Yeah, or the little just below that.
Oh,
anyway.
sorry.
Jim, what are the wooden structures in that?
So this is right where there's a little walkway that takes you up to the, just behind the mushroom rock there. And it's just a little fork in the path and it's, 15 yards up the hill there.
Yeah, that's a wood fence to keep you
Yeah,
from going up.
that's what it is, yeah.
Oh, okay. It looks like a snow fence.
No, you
No,
can
just-
find that kind of a fence up at the top of Rocky Mountain National Park Trail Ridge. They use those everywhere.
12,200 feet high at that location.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is my son and I.
Let's go.
He's featured twice in this presentation. Yeah, this was last year when we were in the Arches National Park. This is landscape arch in the distance there in the back. And it was pretty harsh light, so I just took a fun shadow picture of us.
Yeah.
And there's landscape.
Joan.
This is Crested Butte. We were there, in the first week of July, and it was the first 2 days we were there, it was so smoky and hazy. But the last morning we were there, it cleared up a little bit, so.
Nice.
Great shot.
Yes, very nice. John Reed.
Oh, that was the Utah trip with Mark, and we're hanging out, we were camping on the Moonscape Overlook, and I had set up for tracking the interaction between the moon. The moon is about 81%, I wanted to catch the moonlit valley, and so there's thunderstorms moving through, so I got lucky and got one of the lightning bolts on that.
So how long of an exposure did you have on this?
Oh, that's probably, it was a lot of light, so I'm gonna say that's less than 10 seconds.
So you just got lucky as far as the light.
Well, I usually run my intervalometer. I set up and I set the camera up and then just let it go, bang, 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 bang. And I made a time lapse of this, and I have a time lapse where you see the storm move across, you see the rain fall, you see other lightning bolts, you see the clouds line up. So that was just the one that had the brightest visible lightning bolt. So I pulled it as an individual shot from the sequence that I've made into that time lapse.
Yeah, I mean, anytime I try a shot like that, the lightning corrects.
Well, you use lightning trigger. You can always catch it with a lightning trigger. But that was I called that the blind squirrel got an acorn, that's right. They were teasing me or saying, how'd you do the lightning bolt? I said, Rogers bolt trigger, right time, duh.
Chill there too.
Yeah, well, I was shooting all night. I ran camera ran all night long. Yep.
Okay.
It's just a nice family of ducks, only.
Yeah. Quite the brood there.
There it is.
Big Bend National Park, the Ross Maxwell Drive. I think I took this late morning, so the light wasn't great, but I liked how I got the shadow on the mule ears. That's kind of a famous landmark there.
Mark Edler.
Yeah, this was, at an Italian car show up at the Rocky Mountain Metro Airport, about, 9 days ago. And boy, the cars were amazing. They had them all. And it was a lot of fun walking around there. And I just kind of snapped this one as I walked by. I like the way, the cars are, being admired by everybody. It was a beautiful show, and if it comes around again, if you're a car buff, you have to go.
Nice. Mark, Bunch.
Just a little reflection in the water, Belgium, no big deal, on the hunt for a fish.
Mike Voss?
Yeah, this was the Erie Balloon Festival again. This one was almost straight overhead, not quite. I just like the spiral pattern on this balloon.
Yeah.
Bill?
Oh, I forgot I sent this in. Yeah. Fish Creek Falls near Steamboat Springs. Yeah. It's a nice waterfall.
Phyllis?
So this one, little different way of approaching things. So there's a massive exhibit up in Fort Collins Museum of Art, and I've been doing it for the last 7 years. And this was mine this year. I did a sculpture actually, and did them back to back. And so I did take the pictures, but I also created the subject matter. And it's entitled Chiaroscuro, which I might be pronouncing wrong, Italian term, but it means dark and light. And so it's where things will show up better, the light part, because of the dark. So because of my past year and health journey, one side was the light and the other side was the dark. And I just thought it'd be fun to share that because the term applies to the photography also.
You're good.
Amazing.
Amazing
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
And they were it was auctioned off.
Okay.
Rachel?
And yeah, this is also at Breeder House, and I really liked the way the light was playing off these roses, and they were the only ones not full of Japanese beetles.
Yeah.
Raymond?
So I think just about everybody knows the outside of the Sydney Opera House. Or did a tour inside, and I was struck by all the interplay of light and shadow.
Yeah. Great composition.
Sure, some very interesting lighting.
Nice.
Becca?
This would be late fall, and it's just, sunrise and some random, I don't know if that's a sunflower or what, but it just looked really, really cool, and I just took the shot.
Nice. It works.
Roxana?
This is I've been trying to photograph my artwork, and so this was a sculpture that finally I think I have a photograph I like of it. So you've got the shadow and the light.
Yeah. What's the sculpture made out of? Is that
Silver.
silver?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, great work.
Cast silver.
Wow.
Tim?
Monument Valley, sunrise with an approaching storm.
Great sky.
Nice shot.
Great shot.
I like the black and white.
Yeah.
Wendy?
This is the Arsenal, and the title is Stay 25 Yards from the Bison. And he has a shadow. I just thought I'd be topical.
Yeah. Nice.
All right, folks, that was it.
Tim? Where's Tim? Oh, Orange Cliffs?
Yellow.
Yeah,
Yellow.
it might be orange.
Oh.
It's more the color.
I just want to say thank you guys for having me.
Somebody turn a light on.
I also want to tell you guys something I heard last year, and it was the funniest thing, is that I was at Rocky Mountain National Park during the rut, and I was standing next to a ranger, and this lady walked up to us, and she asked the ranger and I'm standing with my big lens, and she goes, at what altitude do deer become elk? She asked us that. And if anybody's from Ohio, I apologize, but she got into a car with Ohio plates. And after she walked away, I looked at the ranger and I was quick-witted enough to say, I know at what altitude. It's right after that deer goes to the dispensary and he gets some extra special stuff, and then he's that high. So I said that to the ranger, and he said he couldn't stop laughing, but he said he's been asked that more than once by the ranger. So yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, see everybody next month.
See you next month. There's a. You want that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.